Back with another synth build. This is number 2 in the series. I'm calling Little Synths with Big Sounds. So this is the board. It's 2 sides. It's the reverse for the passive components, and that's the front part of it with all the active components, pots and everything else. It's run off 2 AA batteries, so it's pretty cool. And I'm calling this one Proton. That's the front panel that I designed. It's actually a copy of Syntherjack's Totoro 1 IC synth. It's an amazing synth. I've pretty much just copied it. I've added a couple little mods here and there, but it's pretty much copied, designed my own front panel. So let's just get building. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to cut to any like specifics because this board's pretty easy to build. So we'll just start adding components. Alright, our resistors are in place. There's only 22 resistors in this build, and it's actually a really elegant design that Syntherjack come up with. I'll put a link to the original build on this from him. You can check that out. But it's quite impressive considering it's just one IC that makes these incredible sounds that come out of this board. So yeah, we'll continue to add the components and we'll check in soon. So we need a BC546 transistor for this build, and I don't have any. So you can always just check out equivalents on your phone, and I can see there's an equivalent of BC547, which is pretty common, and I've got plenty of those, so I'll just replace it with that one. These are the little jack sockets that I'm using, 3.5mm. They sit pretty flush with the board. The holes are quite large, so they're kind of loose in there. What I like to do to keep them from moving about is just to add a little bit of solder. So I put my finger on it, hold it in place, and then just dab a bit of solder. That will keep it in place. You've got to add 2 of those. So there's one for CV here, and then there's one for out. One of the little mods I did was to add, I guess, a kind of hidden switch, which is this one here. A little Easter egg. I won't tell you what that does. You can play around with that yourself once you build it. That's the reverse side just about done. Got to add the 2 AA battery holders, but I'll do that later. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Nothing too hard or too onerous there. Got to add the IC, which we'll do now. The first switches we're going to add are these on-off switches. They've got 6 legs. They do a number of things, just obviously on-off for the board, and then there's ways to change different functions and different sounds using them. So we'll add those in next. The one thing you need to be aware of, and I mentioned this in my last build, is they have an orientation. So you can see that little dimple just at the top there. Well, that needs to be at the top of the board when putting it in. Just a little bit of solder. if you bridge it, it's not the end of the world, right? You can just use some solder wick or whatever to remove it, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. Cool. Well, I'll keep on soldering these and then we'll move on to the pot. We have all the front panel components on now. Our little clicky switches, all the pots, which are all 100k. Again, the elegance of this build is amazing. It's really kept it simple. Switches are in place, and now we're just going to put in these AA battery holders. You need the ones, the wires sticking out the side there. There's holes for these to go into. I am going to modify this. There is supposed to be a screw hole. There is no screw to be able to secure them in place. I'm going to remove this and then put some glue on there as well, just to make sure that they're firmly in place and I'm not putting too much stress on the solder points. So I used the file and just filed those little humps down a bit so they're flat. So now I can add a little bit of glue around the edges here, a little bit on that. I don't want too much, but I just want enough to help secure it. Obviously, positive to positive. Just make sure the fit's okay. It does. A little bit of glue. Oh, shit, I've got it on my hands. It's not good. Make sure I've got it right, so positive. Just line those up. And just squeeze it into place for a bit. I should just put some little screw holes in the footprint for these, but whatever. It's one done, one more to go. So after a small hiatus, I think I might have even shaved my beard since I last filmed, I'm back, and the original board I had to add this bodge wire to the CV. The CV wasn't working, unfortunately, so I went out, printed another board, fixed up the issue, and now we've got a completed board. All works 100%. The front panel is here, so you can see that fits perfectly on the board. Looking really good. Next thing is we'll add this front panel to the board. We'll add some clear acrylic to the back of it just to protect the circuits. And we're done. So we'll give it a test run then, but yeah, I mean this one works, but I can't have a bodge plate on like this, so we'll move on to putting that front panel on, and pretty close to getting it done. So we're going to use these spacers to attach the front panel to the PCB. It's a little 8mm spacer with a little male screw head on it. So all you got to do is place them in the hole, and then we'll attach another 8mm spacer onto this one. Like that, and then we'll add a 10mm little spacer without the male section. And that gives us enough clearance from the battery to add the acrylic panel. So I'll do that another 3 times and we'll attach the front panel. Alright, the build's done. So I've added the acrylic on the back, just held in place with these spacers. I think it's time just to play this thing. So I've got a little speaker here, plug that into the out, turn turn it on. Alright, so there's some sounds that this thing can make. I've actually tuned these into some keys, so I think mostly A, and it's a G. You can play different keys by holding two of the actual keys down. So yeah, let's plug in the sequencer and give that to the CV. Let's try and bring it into angle, so we'll turn it on. So there's just a little taste of what this thing can do. With a sequencer, it really shows its true colours. It really comes out some great sounds, a lot of fun to play with. So if you're interested in building your own, check out the link in this video. I've added the Gerber files, I've added the schematics, I've added everything you need to build your own. I've also done an Instructable, so a step-by-step guide. Check that out as well. I've added a link in this video. Oh, and just lastly, this is the other one, or the first one I've built in this whole series. So I'm calling it Little Synths with Big Sounds. So this is the first one, called Elements. I'll put a link to this one as well. It's a lot of fun to play with too. But yeah, so starting to get a bit of a theme going here, a bit of a look. I think the next one I'm going to build is an echo and reverb little module, so you can plug that into it. But maybe even a mixer, so we can start playing all these things together. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to make your own, as I said, check out the links, and yeah, keep building. Have fun. Bye.